Walibi Rhône-Alpes is the smallest of the 3 Walibi parks in Europe, opening its doors in 1979 in southern France. It's located about an hour outside of central Lyon. If you want to fly in to do the park, you're only about 40 minutes from the Lyon airport. It's an hour drive from the city of Annecy, an hour 15 from Geneva. So they're really one of those quaint, charming, mid-sized parks. They take up about 86 acres of land, have 33 different attractions, and as of 2022 brought in 610,000 visitors. So yeah, not as popular as Walibi Belgium, which is outside of Brussels, or Walibi Holland, which is kind of near Amsterdam. But the park is still growing and has been receiving some awesome investment over the past couple of years. As recent as 2024 when they are opening up Mahuka. It's an intimate hot racer or single rail coaster, only the second of its kind and the first in the Northern Hemisphere. But beyond that, they opened up a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster in 2019 called Mystic, and a Gravity Group family wooden roller coaster called Timber, which debuted in 2016. Also among the collection is a charming Zero Tivoli that has the really long train, nice and tame layout. Their first coaster that they opened that's still operating to this day is Generator. It's a Vekoma Boomerang, so definitely the worst of the big roller coasters, but it does have lap bar restraints. They're the same as the one on the Boomerang at Wiener Prater, so it's nice that you don't have to deal with any head banging, though whether or not it's actually more comfortable is up for debate. And finally, we have Woodstock Express, which has no affiliation to the Woodstock Express at the Cedar Fair parks, which is themed to the Peanuts characters. That opened up in 2002 and is a Zamperla Wild Mouse. So with Mahuka, they're now home to 6 roller coasters. So yeah, not quite as many as the other Walibi parks. Walibi Belgium is currently working on their 10th roller coaster, and Walibi Holland will soon be debuting their 9th and 10th roller coasters. But those parks also have a lot more land to work with. For what Walibi Rhône-Alpes has, it's actually pretty good. I visited for the first time in summer 2023. It was right when they had just started building Mahuka. So already that gives me a great excuse to come back and visit. We planned a whole day around Walibi Rhône-Alpes. We got there at park opening, and because of low crowd levels, we actually ended up leaving a bit early. We finished with still 2 hours left to go, but we're very satisfied. The operations on all of the roller coasters were amazing. They are so efficient at dispatching those trains, if possible running more than one vehicle, and the overall atmosphere and vibe was very pleasant. When you first arrive at the park, you're greeted with this big W at the front entrance that makes for an awesome photo op. When we visited, they were playing Planet Coaster music in the entry plaza. That was kind of funny. But once you're inside the turnstiles, to the right you have the big gift shop. Besides from that, there's not a whole lot to look at. It's a very small welcome plaza. You pretty much either go to the left or to the right, and that's where everything feels a lot more developed. I feel like even a nice fountain or another welcome sign would help. The park is broken up into 3 main areas. You have Festival City, Exotic Island, and Explorer Adventure. Festival City is largely based around New Orleans. It's awesome. The buildings look great. I loved walking around the Mystic Plaza, seeing all the voodoo props, and there's a bunch more in the station too. I talk about that a bit more in the Mystic full separate review that's already up on this channel. There's also one for Timber. Definitely go check those out. Both of those rides exceeded my expectations, as did this land. I knew very little about the themes going in because I wanted to be surprised, and this section was easily my favorite. There were so many details to discover, including an entire graveyard, signs lining the buildings, and even when you use the bathroom, they keep up with the immersive theming. It was all really charming. Aside from Mystic, the land is home to an S&S shot tower, which we thought was okay. They had a very clever themed Zamperla Nebulas. It was themed to airboat tours, and then they have a set of teacups which look like cauldrons. Moving counterclockwise around the park, next up is Exotic Island. If you've been to Walibi Belgium and are familiar with their land, this is the same sort of vibe, but a lot more lackluster. That's why it's such a big deal that they're getting Mahuka. It's part of a €15 million investment to expand that section. They're adding in these really cool temples, more lush greenery, because right now it's really just a log flume, a splash pad, and some tiki statues. So that's gonna look great. And lastly, Explorer Adventure is largely a Wild West section. There's so many of these at European theme parks, but actually I thought this one was pretty good. It's a huge area. Pretty much the entire left side of the park is the Wild Frontier. There's so many rides here, including multiple roller coasters. There's an awesome set of slides. You can find tons of these at different theme parks across Europe. Lots of family-oriented attractions, and everything is just so well landscaped. It's anchored by this big lake in the center. This monorail passes above the entire land, giving riders a view of Timber, the rapids, all the trees that cover this park. It all was just so well laid out. The only ride here that actually looked out of place was their Vekoma Boomerang. You can tell they recently repainted it, and don't get me wrong, it looks nice, but when the ride literally sits on the dividing line between the Wild West, which is a lot of browns and tans, and then Festival City, which is a lot of bright colors. It's just such a harsh jump that I feel like more neutral colors would have helped with that segue. But honestly, that's nitpicking. The only thing that I would legitimately call bad that I experienced at the park was the food. We only had one meal. We ate at this place called the Golden Burger. The fries were bland, not fresh at all. The burger was like below average, even for a theme park burger. I don't know if all the food was like that or we just happened to pick the one bad place. But frankly, if that was the only thing that I found like disappointing, I'll take it. You can tell that management really cares about this place. Actually, the park is currently owned by the same company that operates Parc Asterix, Belwarda, and of course the other Walibi parks. Fun fact, they also used to be operated by Six Flags and Premier Parks. They were sold off in 2006 to the current owners, and it seems like they definitely take better care of it now than they used to. Once they open up Mahuka, I think the thing I'd love to see done next is refresh the area around the Zero coaster. That was the one ride that presentation-wise did not look the best. Part of it looked pretty rusty. If you didn't see the train going, you'd probably assume it'd been abandoned for years. Because when all the other rides look fantastic, you don't want to have that one ride that looks out of place. So in conclusion, I absolutely recommend checking out this park, and now that they're opening Mahuka, there's no better time to visit. I feel like it's one of those places that really flies under the radar, especially when it comes to the European theme park scene. But if you've been to Walibi Belgium and Walibi Holland and had a positive experience at those parks, I guarantee you'll enjoy this one too, even if it is a bit smaller. So let me know down in the comments below if you've had the opportunity to visit Walibi Rhône-Alpes in France, and of course stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.